Boy, but here I am, live and in the flesh, here to talk to you for a lot of minutes. Like, Yo, you remember when the journalist from Fox was talking about how he said Katie Hobbs did not allow Carrie Lake to come and freaking, or I don't remember what it was, the opposite or the other one. She was like, but even though she came up here and she talked for a lot of minutes. That was just the funniest. Like, she didn't say a while, a long time. She said a lot of minutes specifically. And man, when I tell you that the way that you say things is just as important as what you're saying, I think that's a perfect example. I mean, we all understand what she's saying when she says that she spoke to somebody for a lot of minutes, but that also sounds like something that a third grader would say. So, um, if you can see the title of this, my live is titled that we don't have to choose between the lesser of two evils. And that may not be fully true, but hear me out. Specifically, what makes me think in this way, or what I am going to be talking about here today, is the treatment of all of the politicians and I guess people really who have been visiting East Palestine. People feel a way about Donald Trump having visited East Palestine and Joe Biden having not visited East Palestine. And Trump is good and Joe Biden is bad. But is Donald Trump really good? Because then Donald Trump comes, and as soon as he's done with his visit, he goes and he throws it in big boy Papa DeSantis's face, the true American hero. And I don't know if I'm not wearing my bias on my sleeve enough for you, but I'm going to vote for Ron DeSantis. So if that upsets you, or if that's going to invalidate you about anything that I'm saying here, and that's if Ron DeSantis decides to choose to run for presidency, because he has not announced that he's running yet. So let's keep that in mind. But I say all that to say that as soon as Trump was done, he asked Ron DeSantis what he did for Ohio, the governor of Florida. And I understand that as far as campaigning goes, maybe you can say that's a reasonable question. But then, and this is the first campaign that I'm really, really paying attention to. I'll be honest with you. I've never voted before for any presidential election or anything like that before this, because I just thought it was a joke. And it is a joke. I'm actually it is a joke. Everything that I thought about it was pretty much confirmed, but now I'm actively participating in it because I would like to make it less of a joke, to be honest with you. And I believe that I have a few thoughts and opinions that can aid in that. And little old me, I know I'm no political pundit or anything like that. I am not a professional in this realm. I have limited expertise, but I've been an American ever since the day that I was born, and I was born in the nation's capital, as a matter of fact, at 4:25 a.m., which means that I was 5 minutes late. Yeah. But anyways, I say all that to say that I don't care that Joe Biden didn't visit East Palestine, Ohio. Although I do care that he didn't offer aid to East Palestine, Ohio. Do I think that that old man has to actually step foot there? No. It's a chemical, site, and he's an old man, so it's not healthy for him. I think that it could have been a good thing if he did show up there. It's not make or break to me personally. I'm not like, oh, Joe Biden doesn't care about anybody because he didn't show up to East Palestine. But that's only because I don't think that Joe Biden cares about anybody, period. So there's nowhere for him to gain footing or lose anything by my opinion. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't care. Oh, Joe Biden did something lame or didn't do something. What else is new? But these people on either side, the conservatives and the Republicans, were like, Joe Biden didn't do this, and Joe Biden's so mean, and Joe Biden fell down, and Joe Biden did this. And the uh people, the Democrats, who Trump is doing this and Trump didn't do that. And Trump says this and Trump's that. Oh man, Big Macs, what the heck? Trump and da 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 and this, that, and the other. extract the penis from your orifice. If you will please extract the penis from your orifice, because that shouldn't be allowed in public. And what I'm saying is, you guys have to stop. Look, pause. These freaking politicians, as if they're not just humans that are not, whether you love them or not, whether they're perfect or not, they're still going to die and have to be replaced. So, why do we play this game that we got A and we got B, and they're both garbage, but we still gonna choose between them? Because the truth is that there's very few people who actually want to be the president. That's one thing that I fully understand. There's a lot of if I were the president type of people, but that's a joke. Nobody actually wants to be the president. I mean, very few people do. Then you have to ask yourself, why do those people want to be the president? And you have to understand that you're dealing with a pool of people who are vying for power in a unique way. And they have unique desires, unique goals, and unique methods and strategies to get them. Let's break that down. I oftentimes say the same thing about judges. Like, to think that you are the type of person that would make a good judge is automatically arrogant. You understand? Judging the innocence or guilt of people and believing that you can accurately do that comes with a slight air of arrogance. But it's necessary. We need the role. I definitely appreciate courts of law as opposed to some of the alternatives that could be out there. So some people are going to have to be judges. Who are the people who we want to be judges? The people who are least in favor of becoming the judges, the people who have least incentive to gain the position. An unwilling ruler or leader. What's the term I'm looking for? When somebody's unwilling, but they have to make a decision, that's the best time. Like, those are the best kind. The ones who, like when they do jury selection, when they choose people who are going to be on a jury, the person who's like, "Oh, I can't wait to be on trial." Yeah, they're gonna omit him because that person is too excited. You're not going to fulfill your duty appropriately. I know it sounds like I'm getting off topic here, but the same thing applies to presidential candidates. And I'm not saying that we have to, choose some unwilling participant to, carry up to the top of the volcano to toss in as a sacrifice to appease the gods. But I kind of am actually at the same time. I think that the American people should be much more directly involved in choosing presidential candidates because as long as we keep getting these people who just, are fed to us and have these bickering, teams like this is a sport, we're not actually going to achieve anything that the populist nationalist people, or really anybody on any side, meaning, you know, going more left, going more right. We're drifting left right now because of strange issues in communication and understanding amongst a regular person, meaning that you and me don't actually believe that there are multiple genders beyond man and a woman. On average, most people don't. But because the internet has done a good job of tricking us into thinking that most people do believe that, and the people who don't believe that there are multiple genders are hateful and evil people, that is what has locked us into where we are, where that is starting to become the accepted reality of the situation, as to where people are now. There's a stigma to even speaking out about your personal beliefs. You're viewed as hateful. You probably have these kind of meetings at your job where they are explaining to you what is acceptable and not acceptable rhetoric when talking about the sexuality of your coworkers, as if that's ever an appropriate topic. But we're here, and it's because of what's been accepted. It's because somewhere along the way, people told us what we can and can't say, what we can and can't do, and what the options are that we have to choose from. Who are those people? Who are the people who have placed these two options in front of us, being Joe Biden and Donald Trump? I'm not even talking about DeSantis, my chosen candidate. I'm talking about the two teams in the Super Bowl right now. And boy, what a stupid Super Bowl this has been. What I'm saying is, who put them there? Who told you that? And I understand a lot of what people understand about campaigning and probability for success has to do with money, the ability to campaign. If you can't campaign, then you're just going to gas out. I get that. I get that. These are big boys and their money. They got money behind them. They're writing a check. American citizens, now that we know that as reality, are you going to continue to allow that to be the truth? As long as the truth of who can be a presidential candidate is determined by who can bankroll a presidential candidate, doesn't that put us in a precarious position? Who wields the true power at that point? Well, it's the people with the most money. And the people with the most resources usually do get to determine how those resources are delegated. So I'm not saying that that is crazy or unreasonable, but American citizen, what are you going to do about that? Now, you have to understand that we are all stakeholders to a certain degree in the United States of America, and its success is just as dependent on us as our success is dependent on them. Does that mean that we wield equal authority with billionaire corporations? No, of course not. But we do wield a certain authority that if we come together and have effective communication, we can wield very effectively. But I'm not the only person who knows that. As a matter of fact, the people who are currently in power do know that, which is why they're incentivized to divide us in this way. And I'm not talking about dividing us based off of our beliefs. I'm not talking about dividing us based off of whether you think that abortion is or isn't a good thing, because I can have that conversation all day. What I'm talking about is dividing us from thinking that we are making any type of a choice by having these kind of conversations. Sometimes we are, if it fits in the greater narrative. And I'm really talking in this esoteric manner about the Lale Lule Lo. And if you're not a Metal Gear Solid fan, then basically that just means the secret society, the deep state, the Illuminati, the ruling class, the unseen, the black hand. Those people that obviously exist, but it's not as cloak and dagger as you think it is because it doesn't have to be. The average person doesn't care to pay attention to what's going on in the World Economic Forum. The people who do care about what's going on in the World Economic Forum are not going to get the answers that they want to from there because the people who run the World Economic Forum know that you're watching. So why would they sit there and do any of that? Basically, the World Economic Forum is for them to have their discussions and to taunt people like Luke Rudkowski, people like Tim Pool, people like I don't know, Jack Posobiec, the conspiracy theorists, the ones who are pretty good. I'm not saying it like these are crazy tinfoil, ancient aliens type of people, but they are a modernized version of something that comes from that same vein. The Alex Joneses. Like Alex Jones is oftentimes right, and it takes a certain person to even pay that much attention to infer as much information as you can to be able to deduce from these codified languages that are used by people who are in power and have reasons to keep what they're doing under wraps. It takes a certain type of person to even uncover that. Maybe I'm in the same vein because the way that I see things seems to not oftentimes be aligned with the way that people are seeing things around me. And that very much applies to this East Palestine situation and really the favoritism and the choosing sides in the presidential candidacy as it currently stands. Then we got this Ragaswamy guy, which I'm gonna be. I said it earlier today in my video that he's not ever going to be the president. I'm sorry, but and I said that I wasn't gonna say it earlier. Let me say it now that I'm live because I'll probably put this on, I don't know, private or something later. We're not at a place in America for an Indian person, man or woman, to become the president. And that is not discriminatory. Well, I mean, I guess I can understand how you could see that that's technically discriminatory against them, meaning that I'm saying that an Indian person won't get that. That is discrimination. But I'm not saying that they're not going to become the president because they're ill suited for the position or that they're bad people or that being Indian by heritage, because obviously he's an American, to even have the opportunity to become the president. None of that is bad, but we can't trust them because look at their own country right now. And obviously that has nothing to do with Vivek or any other individual citizen of the country. But what I'm saying is the cultural disparities, the differences between India and United States are cavernous. And there's no way that you can get, even in a agreeable state in America, are you going to get people to agree that we're going to elect an Indian man, an Indian American as president? It's not going to happen. And the fact that people are going to say, well, you're mean or you're racist because you're saying that, I'm not saying that Indian people are bad. I'm not saying that Indian people are worthless or anything negative about them. I'm trying to be realistic. America, black, white, Spanish, Asian. Well, I'm not pointing, I'm saying that these are the orders of which the populations are, right? And I said black first, but really white, black, Spanish, which is closely, those are big three. Then we got the Asian, we have Indian people. What in the hell makes you think that we're going to skip past all these other dominant races in America and elect an Indian man to represent us? Only when you've been fed the, anybody can be anything, or you could be whoever you want to be, you could be any gender, are you even going to slightly believe that? Excuse me. But it's not going to happen because the president of the United States of America is the highest representative of the United States of America. And Vivek Ramaswamy cannot be that because his name is Vivek Ramaswamy. President Ramaswamy. Are we really going to sit here and pretend like that even sounds right? And I know that somebody's going to sit here and say that I'm mean, rude, or wrong, or racist, or something for saying this, but it's true, dude. And I don't like. I don't care if they're. Let me backtrack it just this one step here to say that if there ever was an Indian candidate who hit all of the marks of what I want in a president, and I mean Indian, obviously, first generation American, Indian ethnic background. Would I vote for him? Yes, because I'm not stupid and I don't think that it's all about race. Do I think that it's happening right now? No, dude, no. I think that we're 4 or 5 elections away from it being anything other than a Spanish, black, or a white person. If it's a Spanish person, it's not because they said we need a Spanish person in office. That would only be by coincidence. If it's a white person, that's because that is traditional. If it's a black person, it's because honestly, at this point, I don't know. I'm not saying that I don't believe that a black person, a black man or woman could, it would be a black woman. If it's going to be a black person, it would 1000% be a black woman. I don't think that black women will vote for a black man. I really don't think in this current climate that if we had a black male presidential candidate, black women would not vote for him. Once again, they're gonna be like, Jordan, what are you talking about? And stuff like that. It's because I know the relationships between races, I mean, between sexes in this race right now. You can sit there and try and pretend like they all walk in lockstep and Black Lives Matter to everybody and stuff like that. But I know the reality. There is um animosity in the black community between genders. And because of the current state of feminism, black women are leveraging that against black men. It happens all the time. Undeniable fact. So there's no, I mean, Obama came in at a real sweet spot, boy. Boy, did he. And he had all the right friends. Am I right? Because us seeing a black man become president again, not in anything that starts with 2020 anything. Maybe 2030 or something. But yeah, we ain't seen a black president in 2020, nothing. Black man. It's gonna be a black woman, if anything. It would be a Spanish man, I would say, because I don't think that Spanish men would vote a woman into presidency. I'll be honest with you. I'm not saying that they're sexist or anything like that, but traditional Spanish people are more traditional in the way that they run their households. The woman is cooking and cleaning and the dude is working. Like that is what it is. So where does president see, you have to think about these kind of things. Like that is the game of these politics, especially in the highest position in all in the land. So my point is that we're moving away from a space that we can even have these kind of conversations and we have these preset parameters, right? what you can't say about people, why they can't, like, why would it ever be wrong for me to say why I believe that somebody wouldn't get elected for president? Even like, what if I said they're a lying criminal? What if I said I think that they're retarded or stupid or ugly or something like that? Or if I said that they weren't going to get it because they're gay? I'm not saying any of that about any, because I'm not even talking about anybody right now. But what I'm saying is, if I said that and it was from the complete most ignorant part, if I said this person is never going to be president because they're black and black people can never be president, before obviously there was a black president, how harmful is that rhetoric really? Am I just speaking my opinion that I think other people share? Or am I talking about some universal truth? You have to decide that. Or, of course, the world decide. Like, you don't decide what facts are. But what I'm saying is, if it's some universal truth, like if it's something so deeply impactful beyond my own thoughts and opinions, we still have to have that conversation as to why. So, the same thing that limits that conversation about what can and can't be said limits the conversation about who can and can't be president. Like, if I said that, and I'm going to Flavor Flav should be a presidential candidate, I'd get laughed out of the room and stuff like that for good reason. I choose him to be hyperbolic about the situation and say that I don't know what his record is. I don't know if there's anything legit. Like, I don't know if he's a felon or something like that. And I don't even know. I don't actually think, I think you can be a felon and still technically get elected as the president. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Not that I'm a felon or that I plan on being the president, but I say all that to say that if Flavor Flav was eligible to be the president and people wanted him to be because he was saying things that made sense and people want to change, the the politicos would laugh you out of the room because it doesn't make sense to them. They get these people who they see in this light. I don't know how it's like association. It's like when you see a person associated with something for so long that you assume that it's naturally a part of who they are. And I'm trying to think of a good example like this. I guess it's kind of like the perception of a man in a suit being someone doing something important. You would not see a man in a suit and assume, oh, he's just going for a jog. Oh, he's just going to do. You would assume he's doing something business related or formal. If he wasn't doing something like that, and he was just like, no, I just wear suits. I feel like wearing a suit today. You'd be like, oh, okay, but that's unorthodox. You wouldn't assume that, right? Politicos seem to do this same thing with people who are in the political sphere just because they've been there. And granted, I'm not saying it like that's the most irrational thing. You have to like these are people who have devoted their lives to this particular craft profession that is very unique. A lot of people do not want to be politicians, so I get it. It's slim pickings in that regard, but that doesn't necessarily translate to these two are the only options. Anything else is completely outlandish and you're wrong. And I also will play devil's advocate and say if you give credence to too many candidates or too many potentials, then you're going to muddy the water and you're going to dilute it for your side. So I understand why both people in this freaking sport that is the presidential election are very limited and very focused with who they are endorsing. But with all that being said, you guys are totally endorsing the wrong humans. Like it's Joe Biden and Donald Trump are the wrong humans. I don't care how hard you endorse them. I don't care. And if they were doing the same thing about Ron DeSantis, I would be saying the same thing that we should be more critical of it. It would probably make me less like him less because I have a natural tendency to go against things that are extremely popular. But Ron DeSantis is very popular, so I mean, and I he just is the guy who's ticking those boxes for me. So I'm saying all this to say that we got him in there. I think that he's really going to be the primary. I don't see Trump lasting through this. And I really am making this as a plea to tell all you guys who are on the fence about who you were thinking about who you wanted to go be in the primary. One of these men is in his 80s. Like that is the main determining factor to me. If Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis were the same age and were then it would be a different story for me. Or even if Donald Trump was a little bit younger, But the fact that DeSantis is so much younger and so much more, in my opinion, equipped for the position, it's a no-brainer. Anybody else is in a place of delusion, like a place of like it's fandom. That's my point. It's idolatry. Anybody still supporting either one of these candidates, Trump or Biden, is an idol worshiper at this point. Both of those men are cooked. This is not Shawshank Redemption, all right? This is not these men like a happily ever after story. It's over for the both of them. They're in the twilight of their lives. Allow them to bow out gracefully. This is stupid. I can't believe that like I've so many times I've been told this like when I was younger and I was told in AP Human Geography about elections and kind of going over that and people voting and how the electoral college works and everything. My my teacher told me that we were going to have to choose from the lesser of two evils basically in so many words, and in my head I was like, if I don't like this guy and I don't like that guy, can we just not vote? And my teacher was like, you can not vote, but that's stupid because it just means that the other side's going to win. It's like in my head then I said, but if this guy's bad and that guy's bad, then I don't have a side. I was basically told that I was silly and naive then. But I'm 28 now and I still feel the same way. And I do understand certain elements of naivety in that, meaning that we still need a president. We can't all just throw our hands up and say nothing. Somebody has to be chosen. But I still stand by there should be a streamlining and honestly a streamlining of the process, but also an opening up, a reconfiguration of the process. Let's just say it like that. Because the way that it's working right now, I'm not talking about electoral college and da 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 and mail in ballot, whatever, bro. But I am talking about all those things because it's become a sporting event. The fact that we're like, we don't even care who like that only intelligent people are voting. We're literally talking about harvesting mail-in ballots for the next election. And that's the strategy on both sides. I'm not shaming anybody. I'm not saying, oh, you shouldn't do that or because they're both gonna be doing it. Really, they're both gonna be doing it now. That's what they're all talking about. But the fact that we have to game the system, like this is not a slot machine, damn it. This is the country. Like we're talking about, oh, you gotta game the system. You gotta game the system. You have to game the government. You have to game the presidential election. What the flip? Like what? What? We have to game it. We can't just play it fair and square. They're like, you want to have a fair and square election? What a goof. Like, then what's the point, bro, at that point? What's the point? Slot machine. If it's a, what's the point? It's just crazy to me. So, yeah, I just wanted to come and I didn't want to leave you guys without a second video for today, even though I say that there's nothing to talk about when there's a million things to talk about because, and I know in commentary or reporting, journal, whatever, this world that I'm talking about, yeah, stories are going to develop and you're going to follow up on them. But oh my God, I am not going to talk about Eliza Blue anymore. Like, I don't, unless something crazy happens, then I'll bring it back up. Unless something crazy happens, um, with the situation there in Palestine. If that changes drastically, then I will report any updates. But it's the minutia is so good. Talking about this stuff all day, I mean, you know me. I've only been making these videos for 4 months now. And my stamina is completely for this. Like the people who have been talking about people like Jack Posobiec who say the same thing all day, every day. Their stamina and endurance is truly impressive. Whether I agree or disagree with the things they're saying, whether I think that it's good or bad, like, you know what I'm saying, just like boosting and grifting for your side and stuff like that, you have to respect the pure stamina and endurance of these people to talk about these things as if they're brand new, breaking or important every moment of the day on Twitter. It's crazy to me. It's insane. Like, I love talking about this stuff, but it's just like feels like beating a dead horse. I feel almost a struggle to feel like I'm not repeating myself in every single video just by espousing my own beliefs again. But then again, that I mean that's a part of evangelizing, for lack of a better term. You know, I'm not talking about religion, but having these kind of the commentary on philosophy and politics and things like that. It's just like, whoo, this is it's something, man. I will say that I enjoy that it's a challenge. It challenges my brain to think about things and communicate about things in different ways every single day. And I appreciate all of the supporters that I have on that journey. And yeah, anytime that I've given you something that you appreciate, you're welcome. Thanks for checking it out. I've hit the 30-minute mark on this video, which is pretty long considering that I haven't eaten any food today. So I'm off work. I am fully juiced up to see I can't wait for the day that Ron DeSantis actually announces that he's running for presidency, boy. Y'all gonna see me act a little different on that day, boy. It's gonna be a celebration. We gonna be on. I'm being like the meme of the dude on the podium shaking it like he's in third place, just spraying champagne all over himself and stuff like that. But he's on the third place podium. That's how I'm be. I'm be acting like we won just as soon as he announces, because that's how it should be. Like, really let them know. Really let these people who think that they're gonna muscle you and be like, "Oh, you think that DeSantis is gonna be Trump? Ho ho ho! That Soros plant." Just laugh at them. Like, you know how silly you look. You know how little your words, your thoughts, your opinion have influence on me. You know that I don't want to be invited into any of your circles. I don't want to hang out with you people. I don't want to be accepted by you. Don't want to be friends with you or anything like that. So I laugh at those people because that's what they feed off of. They need people who are beholden to them. They need people who care about their money, their friendship, their political influence, their network. I don't care about any of that. And that's how it's going to be from day one until the day that I die. Anything that comes in between that is merely is purely a blessing from God. Let's call it that. But don't ever think that I will ever bend over or lick nuts to have anybody appreciate me anymore. And I'll end it there. Have a good evening.